Hello and welcome to this special edition of Inside Sports. I'm your host, Todd Blackstock. Today on the show, we're joined by the president of the St. Louis Cardinals, Bill DeWitt III. Bill, how are you today?
I'm good, guys. Thanks.
Yeah, thanks a lot for spending some time with us, especially in these perilous times. I do want to set the table a little bit. The DeWitt family is one of the legendary families in Major League Baseball history, going back at least to your grandfather. With ties with the old St. Louis Browns, the Cincinnati Reds, your father following suit, and pretty legendary stuff there with your family.
Well, thanks. Yeah, we are proud about that history. They're actually doing a little biography on my grandfather at the moment. He did have a very interesting baseball career. Started working for Branch Rickey as an office boy back in the early teens of the 1900s and worked his way into a number of different positions, including general manager and ownership positions with the Browns and the Reds, and even worked at times for the Yankees and the Tigers and the White Sox. But his start was with the Cardinals, and that's what kind of makes it special to be in that organization where he spent a good part of his younger life working his way up the ranks and ultimately becoming treasurer during those great teams of the Gas House gang.
Yeah, when you think of Branch Rickey, you think of the minor leagues, and you think of Jackie Robinson, Roberto Clemente, George Sisler, people like that. And then I think of the farm system. And it seems like one of the reasons the Cardinals have been so successful over the years is utilizing and implementing a strong farm system, being in a middle market, wouldn't you say?
Well, that's no doubt about it. That's the secret sauce. It's just everybody knows it. It's just hard to find the right formula. But I think certainly my grandfather actually helped Branch Rickey build out that farm system that really started it all in the 20s and 30s. And it's been a great tradition ever since for the Cardinals, and the secret to their success. It's something that there's a lot of great people behind that. You think of people like George Kissel and others who, were just wonderful instructors, and everybody that came up through the Cardinal system went through George. And so it's now a little bit more geared towards modern technology and metrics and other aspects of the scouting and player development side. But at the end of the day, it still comes down to people, and having great people in the organization is still the most important thing to have.
Your family took over the Cardinals, a controlling interest in 1995. And since then, you've really put a stamp on the St. Louis Cardinals community here in the city, and you've done a lot of great work. You helped spear the development of Ballpark Busch Stadium III, as well as Ballpark Village after your studies in Yale and Harvard.
Yeah, we're very proud of the way in which the whole Cardinals brand has changed and grown over these 25 years that we've been involved. And, most evident, of course, in the physical changes, the stadium opened in 2006, of course, and then Ballpark Village took a little longer. It was in multiple phases. In fact, we just opened phase 2, which was even bigger than phase 1. Unfortunately, a lot of people haven't been able to come enjoy it the way we thought this would be this year, but we're just being patient. Obviously, it's tough year for everybody in the sports and entertainment industry, but we're going to get through it, and we'll be stronger than ever. We've got some great venues that are working through their openings, and now Ballpark Village has truly the village in it, with the hotel, the office building, additional retail, the health club, and the big 30-story residential tower, One Cardinal Way, which is going to be taking its first residence here in a couple of weeks.
Bill, I think that St. Louis was hit as hard as any other city as far as the sports community. I mean, you have the Blues coming off the Stanley Cup victory. You just had the Missouri Valley tournament. You can have a couple NCAA games here. Cardinals opening day. All that squashed this year because of COVID-19. I know it probably breaks your heart, and certainly mine, that opening day didn't go off. With the I guess the limited season this year, how will you approach opening day, and will there be any fans allowed at all?
Right now, the plan is not to have fans on opening day, or I'm thinking probably a week or two into the season, because I think MLB rightly is just super hyper focused on making sure the logistics of the player bubble, if you want to call it that, is airtight, and that the operational challenge of playing professional baseball and traveling around to the different cities is something in the middle of a pandemic that is no easy task. And so that's been the focus. Having said that, on the side, here we are in the front office, and we're doing a lot of work planning for potentially having fans.
Bill, will Ballpark Village be open for opening day and some of the venues around downtown, so possibly people can maybe enjoy kind of a limited opening day type experience, or would you push that back and see how the rules work out?
Well, no, I'm glad you asked, because actually we are open now. Ballpark Village is, well, I should qualify that. The first phase, which is kind of the big building that everyone is familiar with because it's been around for a while, that has Cardinals Nation and Bud Brew House and Fox Sports Midwest Live, PBR, et cetera. That building has remained closed while we get through the COVID issue. We are going to start rolling those venues back open with all the different social distancing and mask wearing protocols here in the next week or two. You'll hear more about that. But open right now and ready to bring customers in is a new concept called Sports and Social, which is kind of spills out onto that Busch II Plaza. That is a wonderful way to be outside and distanced with the tables, and you can order with your phone. It's really a great, safe way to enjoy a nice summer evening. So we've had some success with that. The hotel, Live by Lowe's, is open and has guests in there. The office tower is open and the tenants are there. And like I said, the residential tower will be moving in its first residence here in the next couple of weeks. So we are very much open, but kind of in a limited way, and obviously paying attention to all the issues we have to deal with.
I guess caution's the first thing we have to worry about right now moving forward. But I know that we're excited to get the season going. Let's talk about some of the new rules that are in effect, because it seems a little strange, some of the rules. I'm not sure how you can, abide by them when you tell the baseball players, it's hard to high five, or you can't chew tobacco, or, different things like that. Tossing the ball around. It seems like it might be a little bit of a learning curve moving forward, trying to get the players and the umpires and the rules and everybody on board.
Yeah, it's not going to be easy, because we know if nothing else, baseball fans have their habits and their rituals, just like all sports. But some about baseball, I think, makes them even more prominent. But and we're asking them in many cases to think about creating new habits. And it's not just the players, it's the coaches and managers and the staff. I mean, when you talk to our equipment manager, he kind of takes a deep breath and says, yeah, we're doing it a lot of things different. And it's hard because we tend to get into these patterns. But the good news is the players, I think, understand the gravity of the situation. They know that if they're not careful and willing to change some habits, the whole system can kind of come crashing down, and that jeopardizes their livelihoods the rest of the season and the postseason. So I think the player cooperation overall has been very good, with, a few little moments here and there that, as you might expect, whether it's eye rolling or, a little bit of a temper tantrum here and there, followed quickly by, hey man, we're all in this together, and let's remember, why we're in this position and not blame anyone. So, those are the kind of things that are happening that are less and less, because now we're a little bit almost halfway into spring training 2.0, and we had a little an exhibition match last night that was live streamed, got some good viewership. People are hungry for baseball, and as you may have seen, it was a crisp game, quick, and pitching was great. Hitting was needs to catch up a little, I think, the timing, but the guys are going to be ready to play when we open here against Pittsburgh.
So Jordan Hicks will be unavailable this year. Tim McCarver is going to go ahead and take the year off. So you've got some people that are, bowing out for this year. With a 60-game season, how do you think the team will approach it? Because usually with 162 games, you've got maybe your bullpen gets involved a little bit more. The starters don't go so deep because there's so many games. But with 60 games, how do you think that'll change the strategy of the St. Louis Cardinals in 2020?
I think it'll change every team's strategy. I think it'll be somewhere between a regular season game and a playoff game where the decision making is a little bit more urgent. The need to win tonight is more important perhaps than in a long season where you're trying to win the series and you're creating your matchups to play the long game. So for sure, I think the manager has to find that balance of short versus strategic roster deployment. You also have more players available that can be swapped in and out based on the new rules. That
And the
can help
DH.
create, yeah, the DH is a big part of it with the new rules. You have a 3-batter minimum in the pitching side, which will be really interesting. I think it'll quicken the games a little bit without as many pitching changes and create some more strategic decision making, which I think is actually good because in a year in which National League fans are probably going to mourn the implementation of the DH. While that may take a little strategy out of the game, I think this 3-batter minimum for relief pitchers will bring some additional strategy back to the game. So maybe not a complete offset, but hopefully our hardcore traditional fans, of which the Cardinals have many, will understand that trade-off a little bit and appreciate it. Cardinals.
Last question. The television revenue is certainly very important this year with the the lack of fans' ability to go to the games, and we know the Cardinals fans are some of the greatest in the game with the walk-up tickets and 40,000+ per game. But this year, with all the sports being postponed and things, you're going to have baseball, college football, NHL, and NBA at some point overlapping. Is there a strategy in Major League Baseball to maybe separate you and make people want to watch baseball more than some of the other sports?
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of points there. One is you're right about the Cardinals. I mean, we enjoy incredible fan support. Really, unlike any other team relative to our market size, we're second in the league in attendance typically, and we're the 25th or whatever largest city in the majors, which is just a remarkable record of fan interest. And so when you don't bring in fans, you're that's what our model's built on. So it's been tough. And I think for us, maybe even a little bigger challenge than other clubs. But you know what, we'll get through it. And I think we've got a great staff that's ready and willing and able to get us onto the other side of this and be ready to sell for next year. Look, I think baseball is in a competitive landscape with the other sports, but we shouldn't be afraid to or ashamed of what baseball is. Baseball is a wonderful generational sport, which is kind of the soundtrack of the summer. It may not have more immediate action on a second-by-second basis as some other sports, but you can go to a game. It's outdoors. It's you can have a conversation. You can talk about the sport across generations. And the tension is something that builds and builds, not just within a game, but within a season. And that's why I think Cardinal fans are so great, because they understand that and they appreciate the nuances of the game that allow for this building of tension to occur, so that when you're in the postseason, every pitch is like you're on the edge of your seat. And it's not, you have those moments, those poignant moments, those huge moments of the big home runs or whatever, but the beauty of it is in that subtle tension building. And that's what baseball brings, I think, unlike any other sport. So we should celebrate it. Yes, we need to invest in the sport. We need to invest in the future. We need to invest in the kids playing. And we're trying to do that with Cardinals Care and other initiatives. But at the end of the day, I think baseball differentiates very well from the other sports, not only in form, but in the history and the celebration of it. So we feel good about where it is and the fact that we're going to get back on the field, whether we're in this crazy time or not.
And I guess you could always go to Ballpark Village or some of the different bars and restaurants around town, and they'll have multiple games, multiple channels. So maybe it'll be a feast for sports fans. Any final thoughts? Anything that you would like to mention that I didn't bring up before we let you go?
Well, no, I just appreciate you kind of previewing the season and everything that we're doing to make this, sort of a successful year no matter what. And I would just say to your fans and viewers that thanks for hanging in there. We know you're out there. We know that you're missing baseball. And, it took us a while to kind of get it figured out, but we're coming. A week from tomorrow, we'll be playing. And I think that'll give everybody a little bit of a feeling that we're sort of on the way to recovery and getting back to normal. So thanks for hanging in there with us.
Well, Bill, thank you so much for joining us on Inside Sports. We really appreciate your time.
Anytime, guys. Take care.
All right, that's our Inside Sports, Bill DeWitt III, president of the St. Louis Cardinals. And keep watching Inside Sports on STL TV Experience St. Louis.